Welcome to the debrief of Aston Villa 3, Newcastle United 0. Love it every time I say it. If you're new to our channel, subscribe, drop this video a like, get involved in the comments. I've got some bad news. Angel's gone. He's gone. So Angel's had to go off the wall as well now. So yeah,
bare bones. You're down to the bare bones, mate.
Back to where it all started. We've just scrap all behind me before we started the podcast. So so any of you don't know, basically I'm moving house. So I'm going to be getting a nice little pod office studio vibe. So I'm excited for that. So anyway, enough of that. Let's talk about what we should be talking about, and that is Unai Emery's Aston Villa on that march up the Premier League table. Everyone's heard my thoughts, player ratings, everyone got 10s. Fan cam was fantastic. If any of you haven't seen Mr. Wardrobe and his analogy, then you need to go and have a look at that. But Hannah, we'll go straight to you. TV star. If any of you didn't see Hannah, she made an appearance on BBC Sports. So take it away.
Thank you. Glowing introduction there. What is the first word that springs to mind? Begins with a B. Got us in the middle and ends in ing. I am buzzing. I was in the group chat yesterday morning. Like, I'm nervous. I think I don't know what the general sentiment towards the game was, but a lot of us probably would have taken a point against Newcastle. With the position they're at in the league, their form, they're similar to us in great form at the minute. I just thought if we don't lose, that'll be a good result. Never did I anticipate the spectacular performance that we were treated to at Villa Park on Saturday lunchtime. I think from the minute we kicked off, there was just a good vibe. I mean, Watkins had that chance within 30 seconds, didn't he, where he just hit the post. And I think instantly then you think, all right, we're up for this. We're going for this. Villa Park fully behind the team. And you just think, right, we've got a good game on our hands. And to be fair, in the first half, I thought it was entertaining in general. Even for a neutral, I think they would have enjoyed it. Some really good play, some really nice football to watch. So that was nice. It wasn't like we were just scrapping, and we've had a few of those results where we've had to really grind out the win, but this time it was done in style and we played them off the park. I mean, Luke on that fan cam, I think he was having a little bit of a dig, and we loved it. That the Newcastle fans perhaps didn't anticipate us to play that well. I think there is this kind of, I don't want to say stigma, but this kind of impression of an Unai Emery side that we just set up to defend, and it's not always that creative. But I think we're showing that is not the case. We played some brilliant football, and like Luke says, with the player ratings, everyone getting the 10. It was just from front to back a perfect home performance. We didn't stop after 1 or 2-0. We kept going. There was a great team spirit. I mean, every time that back line catches someone offside, they're high-fiving. It's like they're celebrating the small victories, and that means that the fans are getting behind it as well. We're really just appreciating the football. So I was over the moon. I mean, we could have had more, couldn't we? We had, the offside, which was relatively close, still offside, but it was close. Obviously the Watkins chance within a minute of the kickoff, and Ramsey hit the crossbar as well, didn't he? So I am slightly in awe at the minute, just still trying to take in how much we have improved under this manager. It is a really great feeling, and when you have that 12:30 kickoff on a Saturday, the last thing you want is to come away disappointed, because then your whole weekend's ruined before the 3 o'clocks have even kicked off. So it was perfect Saturday lunchtime, and it's that time now where you just think, can't wait for the next game, but we've got to wait another week.
Do you know what though? It's like we did have loads and loads of Newcastle fans watch the preview, the predicted lineup, and they were just taking out of it sort of like the sound bites that they wanted to hear, basically. But I just kept quiet. I just, thank you for watching the show. And, some of them were quite attacking towards us. And I just felt, we'll have the last laugh. So on that fan cam, I had the last laugh. And, it's even like that whole thing of like, I think we, as Villa fans now, we're quite humble in the way that we go about things. Because we've been on this bit of a journey for X amount of years being rubbish, and now we're fully aware of what Unai Emery's done to our team and how we want to play. We're really educated on what to expect at times. So, I'll just go back to the predicted lineup or the match preview when me and Josh were saying, at times potentially we'll have to go into like a back six and this and that. And we've got Newcastle fans saying, you ain't going to be able to sit back like that against us. And it's like, no, but that's just a small part of what we do. That's just a small part of what we are and what we can adapt to. And I think, especially like opposition fans, I think they just need to like listen a bit more carefully to what we're saying, because we break it down. Like when we look at Newcastle coming to Villa Park, we see how they play, we look at what they're doing and stuff. So for my part, I was just absolutely over the moon. I was just sat in that old tent when it went to 3, and I thought, I'm gonna have these fuckers. So yeah, I was just like rubbing my hands. I was just rubbing my hands because I just thought we've had the last laugh. But you make some great points about where we are, what we're doing, and the way we go about things. And I think I touched on it in the predicted lineup, like, and you'll see this, by the way, when you see the passing network. Wait till you see this; it's fantastic. But what I was going to say is having the thinking of putting Dendoncker in there is one thing. Thinking you can just put a player in and you want to expect. But for me, sticking McGinn on Dan Burn was just class.
It was a glorious sight, wasn't it? He absolutely rattled him.
It was just, I never even imagined he'd do that. Those little subtle tweaks, like that's why he's going to get us to the top, because you can't envisage that as an opposition manager. Eddie Howe would have never have known in a million years we were going to stick McGinn on Dan Burn. And it was just class. Ryan, take it away.
Super, mate. I'm still on the fan cam yesterday, and even when we got home on the match reaction, we were very lively, weren't we? We were buzzing, dare I say, and I've still not come down from cloud nine. I'm woke up this morning. I thought, blimey, now we're good. We are good. We're on this run, this momentum, and I think back to when we went to Leicester the other week, and we got them 3 points after beating Chelsea, and they were playing. It's always stuck with me. They're playing the highlights of their championship winning run, and there was a lot of talk which I didn't really submerge myself into too much because I'm on holiday last week, so I didn't really get into all that XG and how lucky we are and we're overperforming. But you look at Leicester that season; they were overperforming, weren't they? And do they care? There's so many similarities to that. Once you get that momentum and get on that run, and everyone's chipping in, and game by game, we're doing tactical tweaks like that, and people are stepping up. Like Traore stepped up against Leicester. He come back in against Forest when Bailey went off and contributed. Then Donker's come back in, and he's had an absolutely brilliant performance. A brilliant performance, like you say. I noticed a few things on the passing network as well. And then just like you say there with McGinn, that little tactical tweak, playing much more narrow, sitting in between their centre halves and their midfield, the three. They were so narrow, which you'll have a look on their average positions. But it's just masterclass after masterclass. And I think people thought well, maybe Newcastle fans, that we'd sit back against them and show them respect. Like, I think that's what a lot of teams have been doing, worried about more about them instead of their game, where Emery's like, well, let's work out our game, how we're going to beat Newcastle, because we're out to beat everybody. We're not out to get a point, are we? We're not out to defend and try and just scrape a game. We're out to impose ourselves on every opposition. And he found weaknesses in their system, in their personnel, and we exploited it. And we exploited it to the highest caliber of home performance I have seen in a long time. The whole 90 minutes, it was incredible.
Yeah, after this game now, like I said on the I think it was the match reaction or the player ratings, that you keep remembering little things, and something's just come into my head now. That torpedo down the left-hand side in Marina, he's rapid, man. It was like he was leaving Trippier for dust, man. There was 2 times where he just waltzed through and got into that byline, and it was class. And like you say, about the Leicester thing, and to be fair, to an extent, Newcastle have had it this season, haven't they? When you get that momentum and you get that camaraderie and you get that belief, and like you said about Traoré chipping in, and he just comes off the bench out of nowhere and scores a worldie. That's squad harmony. That's togetherness. That's everybody fully on board, fully confident. I mean, you even saw after the game when Mings went up to get the man of the match thing, and they were having a bit of banter, and Ramsey was talking about, he got asked a question about Europe, and he looked at Watkins and he was just like, yeah, we can. And it's just
even like the South Americans last night, Luke.
Yeah.
On the gaming, on the Twitch, like the harmony in the squad is unreal.
And you've got to think of some of the other little things that we've got in this squad as well. And I was thinking of this today, of thinking, what's that dressing room now like? And I'm thinking that the challenge now is to keep going and going and going. And then I thought, who's the one that's going to be in there now? The proper leader who's like, we're getting Europe, not just trying to get. Who's the one in there that's saying we're gonna do it? And for me, it's Emi Martinez, because he's won the World Cup. He's the best goalkeeper in the world. He wants Villa to win a trophy. He wants Villa to get in Europe. What a player now to have in that dressing room, to just keep it all together. McGinn's interview after the game was brilliant. And, like we were saying about this squad harmony and the togetherness, there's only like 7 games to go, isn't there? So it's not a lot of time, but it now feels like when you're in a major world tournament like the World Cup, like Martinez was, once you get that momentum, you're hard to be stopped. And because we've got that momentum now at this time in the season, like, you couldn't ask for a better momentum. Like, if I was Man City or Arsenal now, you would rather be Man City, the team that are like coming up on that charge. And that's what I think Villa are. So
look, I heard a lot of people say, well, it's not sustainable. Well, it doesn't have to be sustainable, does it? At this end of the season, with 7 games to go, you just keep doing what you're doing, game by game, rolling on. And if we end up in Europe, crikey, oh my God, what an achievement. But we're going to have a summer. We're going to have a summer of Emery pre-season. We're going to build the squad even more. So sustainability isn't even a question for me at the minute. It's just
and
keep winning.
I think about that question, like, is it sustainable? But is it sustainable for who? The person asking the question or the team actually doing it? Because we can write our own history here. We're not, do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, we can just keep going. And I just think that's sort of like sustainability thing. I don't buy it, because there was a team that was 5,000 to 1 to win the Premier League, and they won the Premier League. So, and this is football.
I was just going to chip in and say, well, I mean, I kind of get their point in the terms of like we're going to lose a game at some point, but that's inevitable. It's football. And, you know, I think we've proven now that we can win in all different types of ways, and that's going to help us to continue runs of form. And, you know, the thing I always go back to is look at our opponent this weekend. Their form started last January, February. They had an excellent end to last season, and it carried on into next season. I think people probably underestimate the role that confidence plays in a football team. Because if you finish at the end of May on a high and you've achieved something, whether that's survival or getting to Europe or winning a cup, you're ending that season on a high. If you kind of you hit the beach and you're not really doing much, or you get relegated, that kind of tailing end of a season quickly becomes the start of a new season. The break is not that long, and it's very fresh in the player's memory. It is so important to maintain that confidence and that momentum, even in the very last game of the season, even if you've got nothing to play for, because in 6 weeks' time, they're straight back in this on the training pitch, preparing for games in pre-season. You want to keep that momentum going, because ultimately, you know, this debate about luck and XG, it all plays a part. Everything plays a part. Getting lucky with a VAR decision plays a part. An opposition mistake plays a part. Confidence plays a part. Momentum plays a part. And yet, I don't think you can underestimate that. I said during the game yesterday, the thing that stood out to me the most was that every player looked calm and confident. Ollie Watkins at the minute, I watch him and he floats across the pitch. He doesn't look frustrated like he did do for months at the start of this season. He glides, he gets into that box, and we're all getting up off our seats. They feel that. They're feeling that confidence. They're feeling that oomph from the crowd, and that will carry them through, no matter whether it's luck, whether it's sustainability, anything. You have to ride these waves when they come and take advantage of it. When we're getting asked if we're getting too carried away, you have to take it. You can't be like, oh, do you know what, guys? Let's not enjoy this. Let's think it's going to end soon. We're going to lose. We might get a drubbing next weekend. Why think like that?
Because
We're
that's the old Villa mentality.
It's the old Villa. We are a new Villa.
We're
Get excited.
always thinking, when's the next mayor coming?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we're in a different era now. We're in the Unai Emery era, and we've already seen that all of those past records mean absolutely nothing. And my point of what you was on about Watkins and the players being calm and winning matches. We don't just win matches anymore. We find a way to win that match. Even if we're not winning it, we find a way. And who helps do that? That guy on that touchline, because he sets that team up, and we've said it from day one since the minute he came in. He'll have a plan, follow the plan, and you pretty much should have. Well, you won't really fail, because his plan is spot on, and he's for me, one of the best managers in the league. And you know, you were on about like Watkins being calm, and you feel like he's conducting the team. I felt like he was conducting the crowd at one point. Like he was just like, everyone's just mesmerised by him. Like he's just fantastic, and yeah, I'm absolutely loving it. Do you want to add anything, Ryan, before we get on to the stats?
Yeah, I quite like your point of the momentum carrying on into pre-season, because it also makes the integration of new players better, doesn't it? When you're coming into a squad full of confidence. Look at Marina. He was unreal yesterday. He's coming quietly as you like in January. Emery sort of eased him in a bit with Luca Dean. You know, they're having game here, game there, coming off, swapping over. But now he's fully flowing, isn't he? His performance yesterday was sublime.
Very good.
And, you know, again, it just highlights Emery's management of players. And, you know, look at him yesterday on that live feed as well with all the rest of the South Americans. Now, that's a new signing. And he's straight in, the bonding.
Bedded in.
Yeah, it's superb. So, yeah, like you said, carry that momentum into the summer. And the sustainability is out the window, isn't it? Because we'll be right up for it at the start of next season, the Europa League qualifiers.
Sorry, Luke, I'm going to have to make one more point because Ryan's mentioned the January transfer window, and it's something we've probably touched on a little bit, but I think yesterday just proves everyone that was kind of panicking in January that, oh God, we've not signed X striker and we've not done this and we've not done that. I think Unai Emery has more than proven now that if we ever are in panic stations, that there's a reason we haven't signed a player, and it's worked out perfectly well. So
yeah, what happens
I just
if
think
Kamara gets injured? What happens if Cash gets injured? What happens if Bailey gets injured? Chill, man.
Well, I'm about to show you what happens if Kamara gets injured. So have a look at this then. So the stats from the game: XG 1.93 for Aston Villa. 52% possession, another game where we completely dominated the game. 16 shots, 6 on target, 6 off target, 4 block shots. We had 7 corners. We limited them to only 2 corners. We had 3 big chances. We missed 2 big chances. The wood worked twice. We had 395 passes, 78% passing accuracy, 53% successful dribbles, 50%, 50 total duels won. If we have a look at the match dominance on expected threat, Aston Villa 3.53, Newcastle 2.47. The shots with XG by the minute, Aston Villa at the top, Newcastle are in the grey. This was Aston Villa's shot map as well. So Villa are in the blue, Newcastle are in the grey there. So you can see how many shots we're getting off inside the 18-yard box as well. I mean, loads. This was Aston Villa's danger creation, so through the centre mainly. We attacked predominantly down the left. They attacked down the right, which was to be expected. And this is what I want to show you now. So this is a good indicator now, because how this has saved onto my computer is it's gone like match for match. So Newcastle are going this way, we're going this way. So you can really see when I keep flicking the images of the shapes of their team. So you can see Dan Burney's number 33. And then wait till we now flip it to Aston Villa, and you can see where John McGinn is, number 7. So you can see how high John McGinn was in this game. Normally, you would see double pivot. So you did 32 Dendonka, 6 is Louise. Then you would see Ramsey and then McGinn around there. But the subtle tweak in this game was McGinn further forward, Watkins, number 11, a focal point. I quite like this shape as well here, because we know that we can see that down that right-hand side, you've got number 2 would be Trippier. We're sort of holding a little bit more of a midfield balance here on that right-hand side, because we know that that's where predominantly they like to attack. Ryan, talk me through this. Let's have a look at Dendonka, right? Look at this passing network. It's got width. It's got triangles galore. This is, by the way, our best passing network of the season. But look at Dendonka's role against Newcastle United. Ryan, I know you love these. Go on then.
We've been studying these for a few weeks now, haven't we? But yeah, let's start with Dendonka. 7 players his network is. So it's like this network, you get a line if you make 5 successful passes to the player. So Dendonka is linked up with 7 players. That is a focal point, isn't it? That is a focal point. So he's coming aside. When was the last time we seen him? Last start, Man United, probably his first game, which he done really well, to be fair. So he's come back in, and it looked like he'd been playing there all season. But then look at Louise as well, focal point there. Buendia. Now, a lot of these networks, we've seen us playing out from the back very heavily. You'll have our darkest lines in between Martinez, Mings, Konza, working it out wide. But look at the difference this week. Look at where all the dark lines are. Buendia.
Yeah.
If you go back, Luke, just skim back to Newcastle's average positions, because I just noticed something there. Look at that gaping hole. See that gaping hole there, right in the middle.
Here is where Buendia is then.
Go back to there. Look at that now. Look at that network around that area. Buendia, Ramsey, McGinn. Look how narrow they are. That's where we was getting all our joy, wasn't it? On the half turn into that area, and them three would just come alive. And then we have seen like a good network between the midfield line, but we never see hardly any link up with Watkins. He'll get the odd through ball, but look at Watkins' network. He's got like 1, 2, 3 players linking up with him. Like, 3 players are feeding him opportunities. And for me, this performance was AVFC total dominance, wasn't it? It was dominant. Like, it's dominance on another level. This is big, and this is a top 3 club. We're not. This ain't no like. I don't know who's bottom. Southampton at home, on the beach, whatever, or a team on the beach. This is Newcastle going for Champions League football, and this is Aston Villa's performance. It's superb. Yeah,
and I think
really
is. It's something that I found interesting watching yesterday was the fact that we very clearly made concerted effort to perhaps play a bit less out of the back and get the ball up the pitch a lot quicker, less of that, because we know that Newcastle were going to press. And it actually, I think it just worked so well. I mean, I'm listening to you, Ryan, analyse these passing networks. I think the best way to describe it is they got donked. They got donked in the midfield. It's simple as. They did. They got
his big donk out and donked at one.
To be fair, they did. But then, like you say, Ryan, it all started here. But this is where we do the damage.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mentioned, and I've been saying recently that I want to see more. I want to see more. That performance against Newcastle was the Buendia that I want to see every single week, because he was absolutely class. He was absolutely class. And I think Martinez needs a bit of like praise because of his kicking as well. That little ball he always does now to Ashley Young, just that little lofter. It just lofts to Ashley Young. And I mean, even look at that then. That line, that dark line there from Young to Buendia, that was a massive part of the game as well. So
this was a team coming to attack us. They were coming, like, we're third in the league, we're coming here, we're bringing our game plan, and we've mixed it up to win the game, haven't we? Like you look back at Bournemouth at home, where you look back at this passing network, and it was, we'd play out on the back a lot, sucker them out, and then counter them. But this was just full on, get in behind, get in that space, and it just worked a treat. So you're not going to see this type of like quick passing out the back and get it in. It's not going to work every time, is it? It is game by game, masterclass by masterclass, and it's the education we're getting off Unai Emery is like unreal. You just look at football differently now, don't you?
Yeah.
You're looking through different eyes.
100%. I mean, I probably think about it more because we're sitting here and like trying to look at these images and analyze them. But I look at football differently now. Didn't I ever have before, because I'm trying to understand the thought process behind our manager. But it is that feeling that all these decisions are being made with purpose. I've never experienced it as a Villa fan in my life.
The other thing is as well, like when I've said on the pod before, like I've been sat in my chair and I've been, to be fair, I have been standing up quite a lot more in the Alt End last couple of games. I think where I sit's woken up a little bit, but so we have been standing up a bit more. But my point, what I'm trying to make is, in the first 30 seconds against Newcastle, I thought we're going to do some damage here, because the education of what Emery puts out to the team, you watch it and you understand like what we're trying to do and how we're meant to be playing, and the ball goes to Young. What's he now got to do? And we shift it and we move it, and you can really see exactly what we're doing. And I know we keep saying like in years gone by, I ain't now got a clue what we're doing. we'd just like lump it forward. We'd get the ball down quickly, as quick as we can. We'd have a counter and
Try and find a moment of magic.
yeah, we'd just boot the ball forward and we'd just eat an open. I mean, now, I met Ivan and his young lad walk into the ground on Saturday, and he was like, "Oh, he's sitting in the old tent for the first time," and I was like, "God, it must be amazing for this little kid to see how we're playing now." And you think back to when you was at school, and you're thinking, "All my mates were Liverpool fans, United fans," and now kids are being able to watch this type of football at Villa Park. You know, it's absolutely massive. So I think with a passing network for Villa, it's always interesting to have a look at what the opposition's passing network was like. So I'm sure you've all had a good look at this one. So this was Newcastle United's. So as you can see from this, right, this is all down to what we were doing off the ball as well. So we know Guimaraes is the linchpin in the middle, but everything else was just falling. It looks like it was just falling by the wayside. The ball would go down on that right-hand side, nothing. Left-hand side, nothing. Nothing in the middle. So we were winning the battle. We were winning the second balls. The shape of our team, the press that we had on Newcastle, it shows in this graphic because they could hardly string 5 passes together. So I think also we have to look at the opposition network and see what they were all about as well. I mean, again, how many players really are doing damage further forward for Newcastle against Villa? Not many. Whereas you look at Aston Villa's passing network and you've got this going on in the middle of the park. So what do you make of Newcastle's, Ryan?
Just shows how strong our defensive game was. You know, you look back on the game and think how well we attacked, but when we haven't got the ball, how well we got back into shape. You know, we highlighted Newcastle's right-hand side as being the danger zone, and you can see they're going down there, but where's it going to? You know, it's going to the right wing, and there's no link up anywhere near the final third of the pitch. And where McGinn is as well, it's, you know, we've just stifled them, haven't we? We've stifled them all over the pitch, and we just shut down every single avenue. And look at Isaac. Isolated. Mr. Isolated.
My other point that I wanted to make when I was talking about our passing network was I actually felt like as well, you know when the opposition manager makes a substitution, and what that substitution is meant to do is it's meant to give the opposition team like more momentum. They're trying to shift the game and turn it back into their favour. But if any of you noticed, as soon as Callum Wilson came on and they went to 2 up top, we just exploited them even more. We were just passing it round them, like, and I just think that was brilliant. Like whatever they threw at us,
we nullified them. We nullified them is the word I would use, because I think there's a difference when we sit here and we've got a good win at home or we've played pretty well, but the opposition team were just a bit rubbish. I don't think we can say that like the Newcastle team that came to Villa Park were bad, or that, you know, anything they did particularly was wrong. I think it was all our strengths that nullified them. Like we'd mentioned earlier, the form coming to Villa Park, this is not a bad team. This is a team that is potentially getting Champions League. I think it was purely the fact that we nullified them. We worked so hard off the ball, like you mentioned. Everything that Newcastle did, we had an answer for. Like we knew that they were going to press, and we pressed them twice as hard. And perhaps I didn't expect that, because this Unai Emery side, we're like a chameleon. We are changing our colours, our stripes, our spots every week to adapt to the challenges around us. So it also makes it harder for these opposition teams to kind of know what to expect. because they're not thinking, "Oh, for the last 5 games, Villa have set up exactly like this, and this is exactly how Villa play." We're so dynamic now that we have these answers to the questions. I mean, we didn't make a substitution, did we, till what, 85th minute or something?
Yeah.
So it was almost like Emery was watching this side and thinking, "Do you know what? They've done their job. We don't need fresh legs. We are answering all the questions." For so long, how often has it been that the opposition team make a substitution and then we make a substitution to try and combat what they're doing? But we just had all the answers on the pitch, and it's very rare that you're going to get a side that are playing so well that they just absolutely absorb and deal with everything that's thrown at them.
Yeah, and I think even look at the players that we got missing. Kamara.
Starters.
Not even in the team. Yeah, these aren't like fringe players. These are 3 starters that aren't playing. Bailey, Cash, Kamara. So it just shows that this squad is really, really good, and they are all fully on board, and they are all listening and doing what Emery wants them to do. So yeah, absolutely fantastic, over the moon. We're all buzzing. What a performance. And it sets up a great week of content of Brentford away. So we'll have all of our content coming out this week. Match preview, predicted lineup, that'll be out before the game. I am in London on Friday, so there won't be a press conference, but there'll be some content at the game, because I am at the game as well. So we'll have content coming out after the game as well. So cheers for joining me, guys. Just glad
Pleasure.
that we're in a steamroller mode. So yeah, cheers everyone for watching. Up the Villa.
Up the Villa.
Villa.